Hello, my name is Devin Jones, and welcome to the Pride Month edition of the Sparx Tribune Report. And while this is the Pride Month edition of the Sparx Tribune Report, I would be remiss to commit the political erasure of not first acknowledging the swath of Black Lives Matter protest in response to the killing of George Floyd by the police. George Floyd was a man accused of attempting to pass a counterfeit $20 bill. That charge was obviously enough to murder the man, as a knee to the throat was planted and subsequently held for the 8.5 minutes, or 8 minutes and 40-some seconds necessary for the man to suffocate the entire while attempting to explain to the police that he could not breathe. This obviously angered the body politic, who have subsequently amassed in large gatherings, some in the thousands, to protest against police brutality and systemic racism. The killing of George Floyd itself. At the memorial for George Floyd, a mural of his face was on the wall in the auditorium, and underneath of the mural, I found particularly tear-jerking, viscerally disgusting, was while George Floyd was murdered attempting to tell the police, "I can't breathe," something that should call to recollection other murders. The mural underneath of his face in the auditorium, sickeningly enough, and yet beautifully enough, read, "I can breathe now." Something needs to be done about these issues, and done immediately. Some have called for defunding the police. Others have called for reforming the police, transforming the police. All of that being said, and all aside, something must be done now. Whether it's a better screening, whether it's more punishment for police who commit acts of brutality, and not just murder, but brutality, physical brutality, overreaction, and militarization itself. The police responded to these protests, the Black Lives Matter protest against police brutality, with more police brutality. Its video showed police yanking one African-American woman around by the hair and spraying her directly into the face with their pepper spray, beating them with sticks, the whole 9 yards. High militarization. They showed up looking like soldiers at a protest, protesting the very thing that they responded to with. These are problems. Anyhow, systemic racism is an even broader issue. We've seen police brutality against Native Americans while the Standing Rock Sioux tribe was trying to protest an oil pipeline built in their drinking water in their backyard, as we violated 2 peace treaties in the name of capitalism to explore. And this is really new, right? We've never seen this before. But for oil money, we have trampled upon, the rights of minority groups again. For oil money, we invaded a brown nation and subsequently caused chaos and disorder for 20 straight years in the Middle East in the name of oil money and under the guise of fighting terror. But anyhow, back to the fact that this is the Pride Month edition of the Sparx Tribune Report. And interchanging with the former topic, we have seen a bit of solidarity on the part of both groups, as pride marches, pride parades, and those subsequent protests have incorporated solidarity with the Black Lives Matter protest against police brutality. And we've also seen the same among Black Lives Matter protests themselves, as people wearing rainbow t-shirts and pride paraphernalia at those marches. So the solidarity is good to see, a true and, no pun intended, rainbow coalition of people fighting for people's rights. That being said, and this being Pride Month, it is of particular joy for once. Not often we read the news and hear anything good, but read the news at all and find any reason to smile in these evil and despicable times. But as of today, as of June the 15th, 2020, it is now officially a crime. It is against federal law for people in the workplace to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation or LGBTQ status. Surprisingly enough, the opinion, and I refer to it as an opinion not because it is one, rights are rights and human rights are rights, but because an opinion is a legal term for those of you who do not know about the way that a judge interprets the law and subsequently puts it into writing. That's referred to as an opinion. That being said, I digress. The opinion that led to this decision by the Supreme Court on today was authored, inexplicably, by none other than Neil Gorsuch, a Trump nominee and a hardline conservative. Neil Gorsuch wrote the opinion that the word sex in the original 1964 non-discrimination bill, under the 1964 Act, banned discrimination on the basis of sex. Well, the Supreme Court, in a decision, by the way, of 6-3, 6 in favor, 3 opposed, in a 6, I was not expecting this in my apocalypse index card, but in a 6-3 decision, favored by Neil Gorsuch himself, it has become officially recognized that discrimination on the basis of sex also includes discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. The reason that it was interpreted as such is because you would not fire a female for dating a male, yet you would fire a male for dating a male. Well, that's discrimination on the basis of sex. You would not fire a female for wearing makeup on the job, but some would fire a male for wearing makeup on the job. That's discrimination on the basis of sex, and is subsequently and officially finally recognized as being a violation of federal law in so doing. This does not necessarily negate the necessity of having an Equality Act to settle once and for all on the legislative table the rights of LGBTQ persons in the workplace, and also is just as importantly outside of the workplace. Also interesting to note, and I personally agree, is the fact that a lot of activists in the gay, the LGBTQ, and transgender communities are viewing this decision as being even more consequential than the previous decision that made gay marriage officially legal in the United States. This is because not every gay person, not every transgender person, not every member of the LGBT community gets married or wants to get married, but everybody needs to have a job. Everybody wants a job. Most people want a job, um, but if that's necessary. We have to work in order to get by in life. So to tell us we cannot work while being ourselves is a greater offense than telling us we cannot get married. But there's a very important decision today, a very consequential decision, and I wanted to bring about another nuance that I haven't seen mainstream outlets cover. Granted, this is brand new news. It just came out like an hour or two ago, maybe 2 or 3 hours ago now that I'm finally doing the video. But another nuance in this is the fact that right now, as it stands, about 4.5% of Americans, by the polling, are LGBTQ or identify as somewhere on that rainbow. Well, that doesn't take into account those who are in the closet. The numbers must be much higher. What percentage of LGBTQ community members are in the closet? Well, there's no way to know. They're in the closet. So this decision might also subsequently affect those numbers because many people are afraid to come out of the closet because of workplace discrimination. So this would probably, I imagine, and again, I haven't seen anybody else saying this, so leave your ideas in the comments below as far as what you think what the effects that you think this might have on the numbers themselves. I think that perhaps a lot of members of the LGBTQ community might be more apt to come out of the closet if they do not feel like they're likely to be discriminated against on the basis of their gender orientation or their gender identity. We might see those numbers go up as people respond to this Supreme Court decision by possibly coming out of the closet. That's just my thoughts on that. Furthermore, during Pride Month, I wanted to make a specific point to note the businesses involved. During Pride Month, we find Pepsi cans, and not necessarily Pepsi cans. I don't know what Pepsi does during Pride Month. They might be homophobic. I don't know. But, Starbucks and other businesses, plastering rainbow flags on their business windows, etc., putting out rainbow flags all over their advertisements. I know Allstate has done that before. They've actually had a couple of, semi-heartwarming ads, Allstate has. But nonetheless, I wanted to address it because it's a corporate pride. I feel like the LGBTQ community is being placated too, and I know some might disagree with me, and some might strongly disagree and go so far as to say the opposite, that it's necessary for businesses to put rainbow flags outside. But there's like a corporate, a capitalist pride, where businesses that would otherwise have horrible ideas and horrible policies that are destructive to the LGBTQ community while simultaneously attempting to placate to the LGBTQ community, while attempting to bring in money from particular groups in the same way that during Black History Month we see Martin Luther King's face plastered all over 7-Elevens and such, and advertisements and daring. One thing I saw like last year, I believe it was, during Black History Month, Martin Luther King's voice, quotes from Martin Luther King being used to sell trucks. I don't remember what brand was doing it. I wish I had that on the top of my mind, or the top of my thoughts, at the forefront of my recollection at the moment, but I don't. But they used Martin Luther King's speech to sell trucks during Black History Month. That pisses me off. But the same thing applies to the LGBT community during Pride Month. Rainbow flags posted all over corporations that are destructive and horrible for the economy, for social justice, for any kind of actual equality, resulting in a tangible equality. Businesses don't want that. That's corporatism at its finest, though. That they get to put our money in their pockets to use us and take advantage of this while at the same time attempting to placate. Anyhow, this has been the Sparx Tribune Report, Pride Month edition. My name is Devin Jones. You can find me at thesparkstribune.weebly.com. That is the Sparks, spelled with an X, thesparkstribune.weebly.com, Weebly, and I will include a link in the description box below to thesparkstribune.weebly.com, and you can find me on Twitter at the user handle likewise provided in the description box below. Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month.